Zakir Naik, an Islamic preacher from India and founder of the Islamic Research Foundation, has been a highly controversial figure. His interpretations of Islam and his style of preaching have sparked extensive debate, with accusations about his speeches promoting intolerance and radical views. Here's a summary of the primary criticisms against him. Promotion of intolerance and extremism. Hate speech allegations. Critics claim that Naik's speeches often present an overly critical view of other religions and make statements that can seem derogatory or dismissive toward non-Islamic beliefs. This has led to accusations that he promotes religious intolerance and fuels division between communities. Radical statements. In his discussions on comparative religion, Naik has made controversial statements that are alleged to endorse or condone violent actions against those who disrespect Islam, leading some to argue that his rhetoric verges on extremism, alleged support for terrorism, connections with extremist ideology. Various reports have suggested that Naik's teachings could influence extremist views. For instance, some of his statements about jihad and martyrdom have been interpreted by critics as implicitly endorsing violence. Ban in several countries. Due to these alleged connections, Naik has faced legal actions in multiple countries. India banned the Islamic Research Foundation in 2016, labeling it an unlawful association. Countries like the UK and Canada have also barred Naik from entering, citing security concerns. Encouragement of religious conversion. Advocacy for conversion to Islam. Naik is known for his attempts to promote Islam to non-Muslims, and his speeches often encourage people to embrace Islam. This approach, while not illegal, has faced backlash from non-Muslim communities who see it as disrespectful to their beliefs, undermining of other religions. Naik's approach to comparative religion has been criticized for being, well, one-sided, and for emphasizing the perceived flaws in other religions while highlighting the superiority of Islam. Critics argue this style often dismisses the value of other belief systems and fosters a negative perception among his followers. Controversial statements and bans. His speeches have often referenced controversial or outdated viewpoints on social issues, which has intensified the criticism against him and raised questions about his influence on young audiences. Selective use of religious texts. Critics argue that Naik often cherry-picks verses from religious texts, including both Islamic texts and those from other religions, to support his arguments, sometimes quoting passages out of context. This selective interpretation is said to oversimplify complex religious teachings, potentially fostering misunderstandings and animosity. Accusations of misleading scientific claims. Scientific miracles in Islam. Naik is known for his assertions about scientific miracles in the Quran, suggesting that Islamic scripture contains advanced scientific knowledge. Scientists and scholars have often debunked these claims, pointing out that his interpretations are based on vague or metaphorical verses rather than factual evidence. This has led to criticism that he promotes pseudoscience to attract a more educated, tech-savvy audience. Influence on youth radicalization. Radicalizing young audiences. Naik's influence on impressionable youth has been a major point of concern for authorities. His fiery rhetoric and charismatic style are seen by critics as potentially fostering radical views among young Muslims, who may interpret his statements as support for extremist ideologies. Involvement in terror-related cases. Authorities in some countries, including India and Bangladesh, have linked Naik's teachings to individuals involved in terror activities. For instance, some attackers in the 2016 Dhaka cafe siege were reported to have followed his sermons. Financial and legal controversies. Money laundering allegations. Naik has faced allegations of money laundering, with Indian authorities accusing him of misusing donations for unlawful activities and of receiving suspicious foreign funding. These financial irregularities have been used to justify bans on his organizations and restrict his ability to operate. Unaccounted wealth investigations into his organizations reportedly revealed large sums of unaccounted funds, raising suspicions of possible links to funding extremist activities. Fostering sectarian division. Zakir Naik's rigid, literalist interpretation of Islam has also created division within the Muslim community itself, as he often criticizes sects like Shia Islam, Ahmadiyas, and others that do not align with his Salafi-inspired views. This has led to accusations that he promotes sectarianism rather than unity among Muslims, misrepresentation of religious tolerance. Naik promotes his lectures as comparative religion discussions aimed at fostering understanding, but his critics argue that his intent is not to genuinely foster interfaith dialogue. Instead, they accuse him of using these comparisons to undermine other religions and promote conversion to Islam. Spreading conspiracy theories. Naik has been accused of promoting anti-Western conspiracy theories, sometimes attributing global conflicts to Western intervention in Muslim-majority countries. Critics argue that this creates a narrative of perpetual victimhood, possibly encouraging anti-Western sentiments among his followers. He has also been accused of singling out religious minorities in his talks and attributing negative stereotypes to them, which some believe promotes an us versus them mentality among his listeners. Legal evasion and exile. Fleeing from prosecution. Naik fled India when faced with mounting legal scrutiny and criminal charges. He has since been living in Malaysia, where he was granted permanent residency, raising concerns that he is evading justice. His self-imposed exile has only intensified suspicions and criticisms regarding his intentions and activities. Reinforcement of gender stereotypes. Problematic views on women. Naik has made statements that many consider regressive regarding women's rights and roles in society, often citing religious texts. His views on issues like modesty, gender roles, and the place of women in society are widely viewed as reinforcing patriarchal stereotypes. Use of social media for propaganda. Large online following. Naik has a substantial online presence, with millions of followers on platforms like YouTube. Authorities have accused him of using social media to spread divisive views and promote his ideology globally, circumventing national regulations that restrict his activities. Social media has amplified his message, raising concerns over its potential reach and impact on impressionable audiences worldwide. The controversies around Zakir Naik underscore a global debate over the limits of free speech versus the potential for divisive rhetoric to inspire harmful ideologies. These factors combined have led to widespread scrutiny and opposition to his preaching activities.